please. Oh, come on, just a little peek. I'm not going to say anything wrong, I promise. What do you mean it's private? Okay, but do I get to see it when it's done at least? Maybe is not a good enough answer for me. Why wouldn't I want to see it? I love what you do. Besides, you know I'm a big sucker for an artist or a writer, or in your case, just downright talent. Why would I make fun of it? Sweetheart, I play D&D with friends on the weekends. You really think that I could have any room to make fun of what you're doing in the first place? No joke. You could be writing the sappiest love story ever, and you know I'm going to gush over it when I read it. Or heck, you could be drawing the sweetest, most Mary Sue MC. I'd still find it adorable. So, promise I get to see it when it's done? Okay. Ooh, yes. What's the idea? Do tell, Madam Talent. Oh. Okay, yes. I have DM'd a couple of games before. Why do you ask? Let me just make sure I heard that right. You wanted to create a character. Yes, I'd love to show you. Okay, let me just grab a couple of papers. Nope, you know me. Not wasting any time whatsoever. Here you are. Now. Oh, you already have a page. Okay, yeah, that's good. Now, I noticed that you came up with a name, an age. You made her look a little bit like you. I won't comment on that. And do you just want her to be human then, or do you want to pick some sort of exotic race like elves, fairy? Okay, I'll let you decide that when you're ready. Yeah, we can go through them. Next part then. This is actually pretty simple. It's a lot more simple than you might expect, I promise. I'll make it as entertaining as possible. We'll break it down Bill Nye style, okay? There we go. Okay, let's see. Yes, I brought up the Bill Nye reference. We'll call it, Mr. Ice the Dice Guy. No, okay, I'm rolling. We're gonna roll 4 D6s, 6-sided die. You're gonna... I'll wait for you to stop. Hey, you're dating a dork, so you knew what you were getting yourself into. You have every opportunity to back out now. I'm warning you at this moment. Okay then, speak now or forever hold your peace. Gosh. Now, first thing we're doing, we're going to take these 4 6-sided dice, as I was saying earlier. They call these D6s, so if I ever say D6, D4, D20, just know that that's the number on that's how many sides there are on this dice that you need to roll. So we're going to roll 4 D6. Alright, take away the lowest number out of those 4, and add up the total. That right there is 14, not so bad. Okay, we're going to keep doing that process about 6 times, until we come up with 6 numbers. And to give you a little perspective, if you want to know what these numbers mean, about, we'll say 10 and 11 is like the middle ground. This is where you know this person is not bad at a certain skill, they're not good either. They're somewhere in between. 8 and 9 is their below average, you know, not terrible, just unfamiliar with it. 6 and 7, you may not want to ask them to carry something fragile. And 5 and 4, you might not want to ask them to do anything. Below that, you know they're going to have one heck of a good adventure. And on the flip side, 12 and 13, they're above average at something. You know, they might actually be familiar with it. They know their way around the kitchen, but they're not quite a chef, if you get my drift. Exactly. 14 and 15, they could actually make a profession in that skill. Like they could probably say they work in that. 16 and 17, they're not just good at that skill, they're great. They're the elite. They're the tech support you call when you want the internet to actually be fixed. Oh gosh, I feel so bad for my company I just worked for. 17 and 18, Oh, well, from these dice, the highest you can get from these rolls is 18. That's when you know you are Olympic tier goodness. You are the cream of the crop. You are la creme de la creme. You are the... Look, I have a -1 pronunciation, okay? All right. So total up those numbers. You got 6 of those. We could do that again until you actually have, 3 sets of 6 numbers. And you just pick whichever set. I mean, yeah, we can pick those. That's actually a pretty good set if you ask me. You got you got 118 in there. Nice. When you pick your actual race, so human, elf, dwarf, dragonborn, cat person. Yes, there are cat people. You're already thinking of your anime fantasies, I know. And I am 100% excited. No, they don't actually have fox people, but I'm pretty sure we could find a homebrew somewhere on the internet. Homebrew, it's like some people add their own, we'll put it this way, D&D, a lot of people see the rules as less like rules and more like guidelines rather than rules. I love that you can catch my references so well. Now, what I'm saying is they call them homebrews when it's like a custom-made rule people have. But yeah, we can probably find like a fox person somewhere. Either way. Oh yeah, or if you're just curious. What I'm saying is some of them increase these ability scores more. So you got 118, you got 2 14s. Really nice. Okay, so jack of all trades I'm seeing so far. The next one was 16. Nice. 10. Okay, so their average is something. And 6. You're going to have a fun campaign. No, that's... Oh, don't worry just yet. We haven't even started we haven't even started doing anything dangerous. So, rule of thumb, you're never in any danger unless the DM says that while you're playing. Yeah, if you roll a number and the DM laughs, then you know to brace for impact. Alright, now that you have your numbers, we're going to assign those to some of these little ability scores over here. There's strength, there's dexterity, there's constitution, intelligence, wisdom, and charisma. As you can see over here, let's start with these first 2, strength and dexterity. Strength is everything that your macho man here wishes to be. And dexterity is everything he wishes he could be. Alright, 1 is your physical athleticism. How well you can run, jump, climb, how strong you are. It's athleticism. Dexterity is actually your hand-eye coordination, how nimble you are, how good your aim is. I'd even say how sneaky you are. Constitution is just simply, that just controls how many hit points you have. So, how many hits you can take. Ow. Yeah, and don't ever hit yourself. That leads me into my next ability score, intelligence, which is if you have a low intelligence score, you're probably going to hit yourself like what I just did, just barely. That's more book smart. That's more intelligence, as the name implies. But it's also your sense of deductive reasoning. The higher your intelligence level, the more Sherlock Holmes librarian you become. Wisdom is more your knowledge being applied. It's, they put it into medicine checks, animal handling, it's any type of, rather than repeating information you're actually applying it. So it's street smart, people call it. It also takes into account your senses, like sense of hearing, sense of smell, sense of taste, You probably, we'll go into that another day. But you get it. It's your senses, it's your knowledge of how to survive, essentially. Finally, there's charisma. And as you know, your Mr. here is a bit of a charisma expert, if you will. A low intelligence, high charisma build, high strength. Or as I call it, the himbo package. I know you like your himbos, sweetheart, and you know I'm not going to let that go. I mean, after all, could you say no to this phase? So charisma is your ability to interact with other people. It's also your awareness of one's own self, your self-awareness, you could say. And behind each of these ability scores are a set of skills. We'll go into those very shortly, but first we got to apply each of these numbers to whichever of these skills you think are best applicable. So think of a character, and this is when you actually get to flesh out more of your backstory. So yeah, you already got the first part. So think, what in their past caused them to either be maybe really strong or really bright or really charismatic? And perhaps maybe with that lower score right there, maybe lower charisma because they are always in solitude and don't know how to work with people, or maybe delusional. Or maybe low intelligence because they were never... Hey, low intelligence doesn't mean they're dumb. It could just mean that they didn't have a formal education, you know? High wisdom, low intelligence means that they just grew up and had to survive. Maybe low strength, high constitution. They're physically fit, healthy, but they focused more on, say, being dexterous and survival, being nimble, over being physically strong, over being a meathead, basically. Okay, well, I want you to actually place the numbers first, but I'll give you recommendations. If you're having trouble placing the numbers, think of this. What skill are they best at that you can say right off the bat? And you're lucky, you actually got a couple more positive numbers. What are some skills that they're good at? All right, and which one area would you say that they're okay at? And which one would you say are they an expert at, but maybe it's not their best, their second best? Which leads us to, yep, the low score. I'll be honest, most of the time you're with a group, so a low score does not mean that you're going to die. But good, you got your ability scores figured out. Now, next part, and almost the last part, we got their skills to work out. Yeah, so they're the ability scores. Think of those as like the general areas. Think of that as the general curriculum at school, and then here are the actual skills. These are the books that you have to read for that area, for that curriculum. All right. Strength only has 1, just athleticism. Dexterity has 3. Constitution doesn't have any skills behind it. Like I said, it's just HP. Comes in here and there. Intelligence, wisdom, those are your 2 high skill stats. You put a higher number in those, your character is a jack of all trades. And then finally, charisma. Oh, where is... Funny story, sweetheart. There is no seduce skill. But, would you like to convince me to add one? You can try a bit of a seduction check right now and see what your boyfriend thinks. Hey! I said seduction check, not roll to attack. Jeez. Alright. To give you an idea, what happens is the DM will say, roll this skill check. We'll say roll a perception check. That's the most common. You'll take that 20-sided die over there, the D20. You'll roll it, and then whatever number is right next to that skill they told you to roll for, you'll add that number on top of it. Simple as that. So, the skills that are most common that you'll have to check for are either perception or investigation. Coincidentally, both of those are intelligence and wisdom based, so yeah, you'll notice that if you put that 18 in strength, you're pretty much dooming yourself to be a meathead with low intelligence and wisdom scores. But on the plus side, your lovely little lady here would make a fabulous gladiatrice, or perhaps perfect himba material. What? They don't call it himba? What do they call it then? They call it bimbo? Oh, himbo versus bimbo. My mind is blown. No, I didn't know about that. Sweetheart, never mind. Okay, well, you're right, we'll move on. We're learning things all over the place today. Okay, so you get to pick, for your class, it says about 3 different skills. Oh, have you not picked a class? Oh, shoot, I'm sorry, that's right, that comes first. Okay, we're almost done then. First off, I have a quick question to make. If given the opportunity, would you want to make your character a Harry Potter tier spellcaster? Everything revolves around magic, or would magic be like your PB&J? You have half of your skill is from strength and dexterity, nimbleness, your own creative wit and cunning, whereas magic is the PB to your J, the yin to your yang, the Bonnie to your Clyde. Or speaking of Bonnie and Clyde, are you thinking less on the magical's perspective and more on the skill and cunning, a roguelike character whose street smart and wisdom is top tier? Or are you thinking of somebody who's less on the magic side and is just a gladiatrice, somebody who's just a bimbo? Somebody who is tall, strong, gorgeous, maybe not be the most bright girl on the planet, but she is sweet and lovable. Why, yes, you know us, this D&D group of ours. We love spinning out our himbos and bimbos like factory work. So, okay. If you want the most magic possible, go with sorceress or wizard. If you want something that is magic focused, but not so much to the point where it actually takes away from, say, your physical aptitude, maybe go with either bard, druid, or warlock. Or artificer is a good one. That's more like for steampunk players. Oh, the difference between these three, so wizard, sorcerer, warlock. Well, the difference is, story-wise, wizard studied their magic in school, learned it by education. Sorcerer was born with a natural aptitude for it, but still to practice it throughout their life. Still, magic runs through their blood. Warlock simply made a pact with an otherworldly being. Doesn't have to be an evil one. Could be an angel, for all we know. Could be an archfey that just saw them one day and be like, I like you. You and I are going to get along. And basically adopted them as a sugar baby. Or then there's Bard, who just probably found out they had magic one day because they insulted a goblin and it just killed over dead. They're like, oh, I'm gifted. Okay. Yeah, look, you're going to find all sorts of crazy stories here. You might even find some crazies, as in, it's crazy that the story actually happened. I mean, you remember how you and I met? There we go. Crazy in the sense that who would have thought the gorgeous, smart girl would be interested in a nerdy jock whose highest stat was charisma, lowest stat was intelligence, and the two just bonded over storytelling and creativity. And the guy who was just enthralled by that, not just beautiful face, but that beautiful, sweet, brilliant mind of yours. Not to mention that pure, gorgeous heart. That's what I mean by crazy. Because who would have ever predicted that ahead of time? I love you too. I love you too. You will always be the end goal to every fairy tale I'm in. The clever punchline after the cheesy joke. The Bonnie to my Clyde. I will keep these cheesy jokes up, and there's nothing you can do about them. Oh. Well, if you're planning on being extremely clever, more magic side, charismatic, I'd say bard. More kept to yourself and more observant, I'd say rogue. If you're looking for something that's more physical as well as magical, well, you might want to try ranger, somebody who's half magic and half meat. Somebody's... I love seeing your face turn red like that. Sir. Keep calling me sir, and you might just find out there's a barbarian in me. Okay, I'll tone it back from barbarian and be ranger or paladin. Like I said, somebody who's half magically sweet and half muscle and brawn. Or perhaps no magic at all. Just somebody who's all yours, all hugs, all muscle, all brawn, fighter or barbarian. You can have this hand or this hand. Or, if you're interested in going all out, no matter what comes your way, in life or in game, I want you to know these arms are yours. Maybe you don't have to pick. Maybe they're both yours. Oh, so sorry, I didn't mean to hug that tight. help it sometimes. Baby, I love it when your cheeks turn all red. Your eyes glisten. You smile that big. So what do you say? Ready to pick? Are you ready for an adventure? Let's go, my love.